Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniatures, and today we have the final warband for the Direchasm season of Warhammer Underworlds. We have Elathain's Soulraid, and no, Elathain is not the crab, as much as GW wants to push him and hype him up. I mean, obviously he is worth hyping. So we have an interesting mix of models in this warband. This is a Ideneth warband, the fish elves, as the cool kids are saying. And I'm destroying the box. Whee! So, the nice thing about these warbands, if you haven't heard me ramble on about them yet, which is odd because I've literally gone through just about every single warband at this point, with the exception of maybe one or two that I skipped over or I had family or friends pick up. And the Crimson Court, at least at the time that I'm filming this, I have yet to actually encounter in the wild for a reasonable price that isn't getting, jacked up by scalpers. So you have your decks for both types of cards. You have your instructions included in there. We'll hold on to those, keep them handy. And just like all the other warbands for Warhammer Underworlds, you have two half sprues that make up a whole, along with the bases for the models. And like I said, we have a pretty nice mix here. We've got the crab, we've got a fish, we've got one of the actual Edeneth, whatever you want to pronounce them, fish dudes, or elf dudes, and then we have the kind of homunculi soul vessels that they've got in there. Lots of thin parts, so that's going to be fun. The eel coming off of his cape here, crab claws, crab legs, yummy crab legs. I worry about that net and this blade thing right here. Very thin, so be careful snipping these off. Again, very thin, but we've managed so far with everything, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll keep it all in one piece. Models look to be pretty decent size. Everybody's going to be on the same size base. Looks like 32. Oh, I take that back. Most everybody's on 32 millimeter bases, and then it looks like, I think it's our fish friend that's going to be on the 25 millimeter one there. At least I think it's 25. It's 25. So, I'm going to go get these guys put together. We'll take a look at how they turn out. I don't actually have any other Edeneth to compare them to, unfortunately, but we do have plenty of other Warhammer Underworlds models laying around here, waiting to get their time to show off. So give me a sec, we'll put these together, and we'll see how they stack up. Okay, we've got Elathain, Soulraid, whatever, Soul Ravers. That might be interesting. Get them all put together. And I gotta say, this has got to be one of the most fiddly Warhammer Underworlds warbands that I have put together yet. Not to say that they don't look nice, because they do. It's just, they were super freaking fiddly, and you can see there's just all kinds of little jagged bits and tiny edges. I worry about transporting these. I mean, seriously, I think they're going to have to get magnetized. It feels like more and more kits that GW are putting out are just so stinking fragile. So there we had our female Eden, and then we have one of the, I don't even know what they're called, the soulless homunculi type dudes. This is just ridiculous. I don't know who thought that was a good idea. There could have been a different way to get this model made, but that's how they decided to have the rope on the harpoon. I don't like it. But that's just me. And I think they totally could have reposed him. And speaking of fiddliness, the champion of fiddliness today, I'm assuming this is Elathain, I had a horrible time getting his arm to set with the inside of the body, and finally I just trimmed stuff down. You can still see there's a little tiny crack there between the two halves of the chest. My big fat thumb is not going to let me point in there, but it's there. It's just, man, between his fish, his hook, the net, the hook's on the net, and it's the fancy, I don't even know what to call this thing, back banner, whatever. It's just so much. I like how it looks too, but man, it's just like, this is an accident waiting to happen. which is a shame. It's going to be fun to paint. Our flying flounder friend. And then the latest internet sensation that you need to flip over for massive damage. He's not attached all the way to the base. He's going to be a fun one to paint. But then again, I've got Hadra stuff that, you know, if I want to go paint crabs, or Mirce's Darkland stuff that I still have yet to bother to paint. So, definitely a fun little warband. You have quite an eclectic mix there. And funny enough, it's just yet another flavor of elf. Now, I've got plenty of flavors of elf at this point. We've got Lumineth, and Edenith, and Sylvaneth, and Dark Elfith. Yeah, that doesn't work. But just the sheer variety of warbands that we have available at this point is pretty cool, I think. And I'm not even a big elf fan, but I am a fan of having everything painted. And that's one thing I've been quite good about with Warhammer Underworlds. But I don't know how I'm going to store these even. I really don't. Wait, you're part of this warband. Get back here. Compared with the Mad Mob of Headcracker. Headcracker? Good size. Whereas our elves have a thing about posing themselves on big fancy outcroppings, whereas our more humanoid models are quite alright just sticking on the ground. Ah, here we go. How do they compare to a typical Stormcast? I've heard some people talking about using the Fishy Friends here as extra fodder for Kings of War Trident Realm backups, making whole stands of those. I don't know how you do that, because I don't know if I want to buy 4 or 5 of the same warbands. I mean, unless you're going to run them, and I don't know. I don't understand the logic of rank and filers, but that's just me. They would be kind of cool to have just a whole unit of little marching crabs, but I think at that point, if you're going to do something like that, it's easier, more economical to just do it on a 3D printer. But that's just me. So, overall, interesting group. I'm not sure how they're going to play or the dynamics of the team. I do like our very gladiatorial looking friend right here, as well as our blinged out water mage. I'm kind of tempted. I can't tell if you can see their eyes. Maybe, I guess so. It might be kind of fun just to paint over it completely. Definitely our aquatic friends are highlights of the group. Just marred by the fact that everything is so pointy and tiny and fragile and jagged and sticking in every possible direction, and then we have these big crazy strings. Blech. But other than that, very cool group. So, hopefully, by the time this gets posted, maybe I'll luck out and I'll find myself a Crimson Court. I keep checking GW's website, keep checking local stores, and it just doesn't seem like it's going to happen anytime soon. Because at this point, that is the only warband I am short of for, I think, almost all 3 seasons. Has it been 3 seasons? 4 seasons? Every season so far of Warhammer Underworlds? And we've barely played more than a half dozen games, as sad as that may be. Hopefully we'll improve that record in the future. With that said, though, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye. Had to flip him.